Like other cities and towns in the late 1800s, New York City was a gloomy place at night. Streets were lit by flickering gaslights, if they were lit at all. Oil lamps or candles were all that people had to illuminate their homes. Thomas Edison had a better idea. In 1881, he built the world's first electric power station in Manhattan. He helped change New York into the brilliantly lit city we know today. Edison was born in Ohio in 1847. When he was a small child, his family moved to Port Huron, Michigan. An attack of scarlet fever left him in delicate health. This worried his parents. They did not allow him to join in the boisterous games played at his school. The other children were not very tolerant of someone who stood apart from the rest, and young Edison had to suffer their taunts. His mother, who was a teacher, decided to take him out of school. She taught him at home, where he learned quickly. He asked many questions and liked to experiment on his own to find answers. At that time, much of Michigan was wilderness. But the railroad was transforming America by making even the most remote places accessible to the rest of the country. When the railroad came to Port Huron, it provided Edison with his first job. At the age of 12, he was given permission to sell newspapers and candy on the train that ran between his hometown and Detroit. He even printed his own newspaper, which he sold for 3 cents a copy. At 16, he started working full-time on the railroad. For the next 4 years, he was employed as a telegraph operator in different towns. However, there were large portions of the day when he had nothing to do, and Thomas Edison hated to be idle. In addition, he required only 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night. So it was during this time that he began working on inventions along with his experiments. At 21, he invented an electrical vote counter for which he was given a patent. This meant that the government identified him as the person who thought up the idea and protected it so that it could not be made or sold by others without his permission. When he was 30, Edison established a research center at Menlo Park, New Jersey. There he and his associates ran what was really an inventions factory. Over the next 5 decades, Edison was granted over 1,000 patents by the United States government. Perhaps his most famous invention was the electric light bulb. Other inventions included the record player, which he called a phonograph, and the movie camera. These things seemed like magic to people. It isn't surprising that he became known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. The once sickly child outlived most of his schoolmates. When he died in 1931, he was 84 years old.